Hi everyone, it's Nichol Spohr. Welcome back to my channel. I am so glad you're here. This is another STAMPtember exclusive limited edition. It is the highly anticipated and very popular always Gina K. This is the sparkling snowflake stamp set. There is a coordinating die, so there's a stamp die combo as well as just a stamp set available. I will be using only the stamp set for my cards today, and we are going to be creating some lift ink backgrounds two ways. So basically we're going to take that lift ink from the alcohol ink background and work double duty and get two additional backgrounds from that same stamped image. So I am going to start with some alcohol inks here from Tim Holtz, the blower, and some blending solution. I've got some Yupo paper. Now I do want to tell you, in the finished cards, you're going to see that the backgrounds have some great die cut detail with a marquee die. Please do that before you do this. I ended up not refilming it just because of the mess and I didn't want to make the mess again, but it's really hard to die cut through the alcohol ink. If you die cut before, it's really easy. This is the Yupo paper from Tim Holtz. The colors I'm using today are Pool, Glacier, I think Cobalt, and Purple Twilight. Yes. So 4 colors. I really wanted to go for that cool, icy sort of background. This is super simple, no metallics, no pearls were used. If you want to get the best lift ink look, and like the most crisp lift ink look, I would definitely recommend not using any of the pearl alcohol inks or any of the metallics or things like that, as it tends to you can't lift that portion of the design. You can't not tend to, it doesn't lift that portion of the design. Now, if you don't mind that look, it's totally fine. I added a little bit more blending solution here and there until I got the look that I wanted. And then I am going to close up everything, move it all out of the way. I am using the Tim Holtz glass mat. It's very easy to clean up. I actually use stamp cleaner, but you can also use like a little rubbing alcohol or extra blending solution to clean up your mat if you want to. And there was a close-up of the inks I'm using. Then I did die cut my backgrounds. Again, I highly recommend, if you want to copy this, die cut them first. And I have everything prepped and ready to go. I have my 2 die cut backgrounds. These are the A2 marquee dies from Simon Says Stamp. This is the largest one from that set. I'm going to place the hanging ornaments and some individual snowflakes around the hanging ornaments on my background. And before I ever get started with the lift ink, I have 2 additional sheets right next to me, also die cut with that marquee die from Hammermill cardstock. I don't know that it necessarily matters what you use, but I decided to try the Hammermill because it's so super smooth, and I was really happy with my results. I did make sure that my lift ink pad was freshly re-inked, which I think helps. And immediately after I stamped with the lift ink on my alcohol inked background, before I even dab up that extra ink, I moved my Hammermill cardstock panel in place and stamped it. So I am using the ink that I just lifted from this background and placing it on the second background. This gives me 2 different backgrounds. They look completely different because one is very colorful and one is not. And then I just very lightly dab up the ink on the alcohol ink background before moving to a clean spot on my cloth and buffing away that ink that's sitting on top. This is going to give you a super beautiful lift ink background. Lift inks are magical. Every time I use this technique, I love it. So really happy with that. I did end up stamping an additional snowflake here on my background, and I will do the same thing where I do the lift ink, and I think I maybe did a couple snowflakes. So I do the lift ink, then I immediately move this panel out of the way and put my white cardstock panel in place and stamp the ink that I just lifted off of this onto that second panel. And the white background, it's a lot of white. It's a little more white than I actually like. And so I am going to show you how I kind of get around that to create something I really love. So of course, you know, I couldn't leave it with just doing the hanging ornaments. I decided to stamp my other one. I did go ahead and create 2 backgrounds when I was doing the alcohol ink. And I am going to stamp my second background with the large snowflake from this set. And we're going to stamp that right in the middle. And again, I have my white cardstock panel prepped and ready to go. And I'm going to stamp that snowflake right on the background. Now, I didn't think my first impression was very dark, but that's okay. I've left my stamp in my MISTI. I'm going to do exactly what I did for the other background. I'm going to dab up that ink, kind of move to a clean area on my cloth, buff away any ink sitting on here. And then I am going to clean my stamp with some stamp cleaner. I'm going to position this right back where it goes. You want to clean your stamp so you don't get any of the lift ink on your stamp pad. So clean it up. I inked it back up again. I'm going to stamp it again, lifting more of that ink up and off, immediately move it out of the way, move my white panel into place, and stamp my image. And that is lots better. So pretty. Again, dab up that ink, buff it away, and I've got 4 backgrounds to make magical, glittery or snowflake cards with. On a piece of vellum, I'm going to stamp sentiments from Gina K's Sparkling Season stamp set. There's lots of fantastic sentiments in here. I believe with the stamp set, there are dies for the larger sentiments in the set, which is really nice. I am stamping mine on vellum with either white or silver embossing ink, and I need to stamp 4 of them. I think I fit 3 of them on this particular piece of vellum. I'll stamp the other one off camera. But I decided for the 2 alcohol inked backgrounds, I would do white embossing powder because I think white, you guys know me, white shows up so good on color. And then for the 2 backgrounds that are a more white base, I decided white, even though I'm going to do some stuff to the backgrounds, white's still probably not going to show up that great. So because I'm going to use some silver accents on these kind of cool tone backgrounds, I decided to use silver embossing powder for the remaining 2 sentiments. After I have heat embossed these, I'm going to take the sentiment label dies from Simon Says Stamp, and I'm actually using the 2 biggest from that collection. The 2 I probably use the least, but I'm using them in a way where I'm actually using the entire die. Often I line it up with one end or the other. I'm making sentiment strips. We're not exactly making sentiment strips today. We're creating more of what I like to call a vellum band. I love vellum bands as they go around your card, no adhesive is on the front, and you are left with a really great sentiment on your card that adds a nice little touch. So I'll show you how I attach those in a minute. Let's go ahead and decorate the remaining area on the white based backgrounds so then we can put the the greetings in place. This is the My Favorite Things Christmas background. I have used it many times. It continues to be one of my all-time favorite text backgrounds. I love a good text background. I inked it up with Simon Says Stamp Pawsitively Saturated Ink in Marine. I stamped it off once on a scrap piece of paper, and then with 2nd generation stamping, so it's going to be a lot lighter, I'm going to stamp that over my background for a beautiful text look. This is my all-time favorite way to kind of give you that layered effect, and it's going to fill in all of that white space really nicely. So again, stamping the 1st generation off on scrap paper, stamping the 2nd generation of ink onto my background so it's nice and light, but it's the right color. I just needed it to be a little bit lighter. And then I'm going to take that same ink color and I'm going to go around the edges of my panel very lightly. I am not going to go all the way into the center. We're going just around the edges. And this is going to dull the edges just a little bit like the text. We don't really need it to be super legible. We just need it to have a little bit of added color. This is going to make everything else we do for these particular backgrounds really pop. With so much white, I really felt like we needed a little something else going on in the background that doesn't overpower the beautiful design. And again, that's the marine ink. So here are our vellum bands that I was explaining earlier. And I am taking some 1/8 inch double-sided tape and I'm just placing it on each end. We are going to then figure out where we want this to go on our background. I need to peel up the tape first. I just use the tip of my scissors. These scissors are brand new from Simon Says Stamp, part of their STAMPtember release. And not only are they great scissors, they're great for peeling up backing for tape. Who knew? We're going to figure out where our vellum band goes. So this is a white background. It has the silver embossing. I'm going to line it up and then I'm going to fold one edge around to the back and secure it. And then we will make sure it's straight and fold the other end around. And so this is why I call it a band. The adhesive is on the back, leaving the front loose. I love this effect. I think it looks beautiful. Vellum is one of my very favorite hacks for if you want to be able to add something but make it more prominent. If I tried to stamp these greetings on the background, probably wouldn't turn out very great. Not even the probably. I tried it, you guys. It didn't turn out good. It just faded into the background. So this gives us some dimension. It makes our sentiment a little more prominent, but it still makes it part of the design. With a vellum overlay, you can still see through it to what's going on in the background, and it's just super pretty. Now, I did move the band down for the hanging ornaments. I felt like it looked a little better, a little further down in the card, but you can put it anywhere you like. I am going to do this for all 4 backgrounds, and with that marquee border behind it, that's the perfect opportunity to place a contrasting color of cardstock back behind this panel, and it'll show through the little marquee dots. This is a great basic die, no matter if you're doing a lift ink background like we're doing today, or ink blending, or just cardstock, whatever the case may be. It's really one of my go-tos. I love how it looks with that little bit of contrast with the little dotted border. So I actually am going to take some matte silver cardstock from Simon Says Stamp, and we're going to layer that back behind each panel. These panels do measure 4 by 5 1/4, meaning that they're slightly smaller than A2 size. They're not going to fill the front of a card completely, leaving us, in this case, because I'm placing these on a white card base, it's going to leave us with a nice white border. You could just let the white card show through the marquee, but I thought silver would really set off the beautiful alcohol ink or the inking and the embossing. So here I already have a couple of them adhered. I'm just going to adhere the final 2. I'm peeling off some backing paper. I ran out of tape runner. I'm having to use double-sided tape. And there is how that silver looks. It's just so elegant. So I went ahead and did that for all 4. I attached all 4 to white card bases, and now I am going to embellish. And I am going to probably speed up, not probably, I have sped up the embellishing just a little bit because it is a lot of repetition, but I am first placing hearts on each of the vellum bands, kind of at the end of the sentiment. These are little white jelly heart embellishments. And then we are going to add silver, pansy purple, and I think it's called sky blue, pretty pink posh pearls throughout the snowflake designs, either hanging or the snowflake. And then we'll add a scattering of silver star confetti. Very, just really to embellish and help make those snowflakes come to life. I will show embellishing a couple of the cards here on camera, and then the other ones I did off camera to save time. It's going to be very much the same thing. To make this really streamlined and easy, I did use the triangle trays from Simon Says Stamp, and I laid out all my embellishments first in trays so that it was very easy to kind of work from those. And then when I was finished, I could simply put everything back away. But I'm embellishing both of the large snowflakes, and then I'm going to do the hanging snowflakes. And I'm using a combination of the 3 different colors of pearls I picked. I tried to pick something that matched the inking of the snowflakes or the alcohol ink backgrounds. And it just adds the perfect finishing touch. The final thing I decided to do for my cards is I am going to take sentiments from the Sparkling Season stamp set, and I am going to stamp these inside of my card to finish off. You could add additional snowflakes inside if you wanted to. You could create coordinating envelopes with the snowflakes. There are so many things you can do with this. So that is what I did. I did use the CADETTE colored Simon Says Stamp Pawsitively saturated ink to stamp my greetings. Nice little bit darker blue, and that is it. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for the limited edition exclusive Gina K stamp set for STAMPtember 2022 called Sparkling Season. The supplies I used to create my cards are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to my Patreon members. If you would like to become a member of Patreon, please click the link in the description below. We would love to have you over there as part of our growing community. Here is another video featuring Simon Says Stamp STAMPtember limited edition sets that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, click that like button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to always be notified when I have a new card making video. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.